What is up, agents? This is Wrecker, back with another legendary build video. Now, yet again, we are running a unique weapon, which honestly, many people are sleeping on because when it was added to the game originally, the exotic talent that it comes with wasn't worthwhile. And I agree that was true, but later on, they did buff it, but I guess not many people revisited this exotic again. But I took it out from the stash, played around with it, and finally, with the right gear, this exotic rifle did not disappoint. Yes, with this setup, you can run legendary missions in solo or group, but I would highly recommend running this in a group because the exotic talent that it comes with benefits the whole team immensely. Not only you can output really high damage numbers, but also heal your entire group at the same time by simply shooting enemies. So that's really good, which I will explain in a bit as we jump into the full breakdown. So yeah, with that being said, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's begin. Okay, so starting off with the specialization, we are running gunner. Yes, that's a bit unusual because you might think since we are running a rifle, the best specialization would be sharpshooter. Yes, you're right. But since this gun is very stable itself, and also with this setup, it's already very hard hitting. That's why I wanted to switch over to gunner, because not only we're getting armor on kill, we're getting a faster rate of fire, reload speed, weapon handling, all that good stuff, and also ammo every 60 seconds. So I wanted to synergize those attributes into this build because I didn't really need that much more damage or stability while running Dr. Holmes. But that's my preference. But if you want to go more damage, and it's not that much damage actually, because it's only like 15% headshot damage and some weapon handling. I believe that's also 15%. So if you want to go that route, you can feel free to use sharpshooter. But for me, in this setup, I'm running gunner because it does synergize very well with the exotic talent Dr. Holmes comes with and does give you survivability. Okay, so starting off with the weapons, the weapon itself, the whole setup is built around Dr. Holmes exotic rifle. As a base number, we are sitting at 380.8k, an RPM of 350, and a mag of 15. Now keep in mind, mine is upgraded to level 14 expertise rank, but that's not really necessary. I just had free materials and that's why I upgraded it to gain even more damage, but you don't have to rank it up. It still performs just as good with this setup, so just to put it out there. The attributes, the third one, I have rolled damage targets out of cover. That's basically what it comes with, and that's the best multiplicative attribute to run. So the talent that it comes with, it's called Dr. Home. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will apply a mark for 5 seconds. If a marked target is killed, it will give a 10% armor repair kit, which applies to the whole party. Now that happens on its own. No one has to pick up the armor kit anymore because they changed it recently, and now it applies automatically to all your teammates. At the bottom it says the kit will not give bonus armor, so if you are already at full armor, that's not going to apply to anyone as a bonus armor. Now this is very handy because of the talents and gear set that we are running. We will be killing multiple enemies at once because of the gear set, and the best thing is that you don't even have to kill the enemy yourself. You just have to mark it, and if any of your teammates kills it, the buff will still apply to the whole group. So that's something very exciting and amazing for this specific exotic. But yeah, that's the also reason, I wanted to go with gunner, because we are getting faster rate of fire, weapon handling, but also armor on kill. So not only you're getting heals yourself, but also all your teammates. So what's happening is, if you want, you can run this setup solo, as I said earlier, but I would highly recommend running this in a group because it does heal your teammates immensely, because we will be outputting insane amount of damage from the back. But not only that, only by shooting and marking the enemies you will be healing your entire group. So that's very, very beneficial. But if you want to run solo, that works as well. This build performs just as good solo legendary as well, I can assure you. So yeah, that's the spec we are running. And as for the mods this exotic comes with, we're getting 10% accuracy, 10% reload speed, 10% weapon handling, and 10% stability. And as I said earlier, this is a very stable weapon, and that's why I didn't want to run sharpshooter to gain even more weapon handling, but that's personal preference. You can run whatever specialization you want. This is a really stable weapon itself. So yeah, that's what we are running primarily, and 90% of the time we will be running this because of the scope, and the talent we are running on the chest is because we have to be scoped in for that talent. As a backup, I'm running my police M4, yes, in case I need to. An assault rifle is a good backup for a rifle, and the talent we are running, it's killer. So yeah, these are the two weapons we're running on this setup. Okay, so starting off with the gear pieces, we are running 4-piece Negotiator's Dilemma gear set. That's why we're getting 15% crit chance, 20% crit damage, and the 4-piece gets us the gear set talent itself. It's called Hostile Negotiations. Critical hits mark enemies for 20 seconds, up to 3 marks in total. So basically on every critical hit, you can mark the enemy up to 3. When you critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt. Now keep in mind, this is the base talent that's giving you 60% damage dealt on all 3 enemies, but since we are running the backpack for the gear set, we will be boosting this number up to 100%. Yes, that's very handy. So the bottom part says whenever a marked enemy dies, gain plus 2% crit hit damage, stack it up to 20 times or until combat ends. So that's a very huge chunk of crit hit damage you're getting from the gear set itself. So not only the base crit hit damage we are running in the setup, you will also be getting this percentage from the gear set. As for the attributes, of course, this is an all red build. We're running weapon damage, crit damage, and a crit hit chance mod in there. And as I said earlier, since we are running the backpack, the damage dealt to all 3 enemies is boosted from 60% to 100%. So yeah, that's the backpack we're running here. Same thing for the mask, Negotiator's Dilemma. That's weapon damage, crit damage, and a crit hit chance mod in there. For the gloves, again, Negotiator's Dilemma gloves here, weapon damage and crit hit damage. Lastly, same thing for the knee pads, Negotiator's Dilemma knees here, weapon damage and crit hit damage. Now for the holster, I have chosen to go with Picar's holster because that's the best in slot when it comes to this specific setup, and mostly red bills because not only it gives you a weapon damage core but also an armor core. So we're getting 2 core attributes and also a minor one which I have rolled to crit hit damage here. So that's a really good piece to run, especially in this setup. I will highly recommend this one. Okay, so lastly for the chest piece, we are running a named chest piece from Heraldi Holdings. It's called Pristine Example. Now I understand this is a marksman rifle brand, but I would highly recommend running this because the talent damage we are getting from this chest is huge instead of the normal version. So the attributes we are running: weapon damage, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance, and another crit hit chance mod in there. The talent that it comes with, it's called Perfect Focus, increases total weapon damage by 6% every second you are aiming, while scoped 8x or higher, up to 60%. That's a huge chunk of weapon damage, and that's the most amount of damage you can gain from a chest piece. That's even higher than glass cannon, and without the incoming damage. So that's huge. Now keep in mind, it says you have to be scoped in with an 8x or higher scope, which is not a problem for us because Dr. Holmes does come with a 8x scope. So for the skills, primarily this is very important. It's actually a must-have for this setup since we are running a rifle and we'll be shooting enemies from back and a long range. So the Crusader seal is very important. So for the mods, I'm running shield health on 2 of them and then holster regen on the 3rd one. Those are the mods I'm running, and keep in mind, since we are running 1 core attribute as armor, that's why we're sitting at tier 1 shield. That's gonna give us 10% active regen, 40% shield health, and 5% additional holster regen. So that's very important, especially doing legendary. You have to make sure that you're running the shield because you will be scoped in, and if you do not have a shield in front of you, you won't know your exact positioning, and you can die actually because you can't see anything, right? So yeah, that's the primary skill we're running here. For the secondary, that's personal preference. I keep changing myself. Like for example, right now I'm running the decoy, but I keep switching to my turret. Let's say for example, I'm doing the legendary solo. I prefer to go with the turret, the striker turret, because it does can output damage to enemies, but also acts as a very good decoy. So before I jump into the overview for the setup, let me show you the stats real quick. On our Dr. Holmes, we are sitting at just over 380k base damage, 49% crit chance, 154% crit damage. Now keep in mind these are base numbers. Also, you can push this crit hit chance even higher, but for me, 50% is more than enough and it does perform very well. But you can change a few mods, for example, or attributes on the setup and go even higher, but then you will have some percentage less crit hit damage. So that's personal preference. We're getting 80% headshot damage, and don't forget we do have 10% damage targets out of cover on our Dr. Holmes here. So yeah, other than that, we do have very good weapon handling numbers. You see here 30% reload speed, 30% accuracy and stability. Swap speed, weapon handling, now keep in mind that is coming from the attachment on Dr. Holmes. So for me personally, that's a very stable weapon there, but if you want to gain even more weapon handling, you can go with the sharpshooter spec as I mentioned earlier, and you should be good to go. Okay, so this is the full build everyone. We are running the gunner specialization because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. You can go with the sharpshooter if you want to, but for me, I'm running gunner. As a primary, of course, we are running the exotic rifle, Dr. Holmes. For my backup, I'm running my police M4. My sidearm, that's the Orbit. We're running 4-piece Negotiator's Dilemma, including the backpack. That's very important because that's gonna boost your damage dealt to all 3 enemies from 60% to 100%. So that's a really good backpack there. For the chest, we are running the named chest from Rolly Holding. It's called Pristine Example, and that comes with perfect focus. You're gonna get 60% weapon damage within a few seconds. So that's really good. Lastly, for our holster, we are running the Picaris holster because we are getting 2 core attributes and a minor one from this single piece. So that's very good. For the skills, we are running the Crusader Shield. That's very important. For the secondary, it doesn't really matter. You can run a decoy or a turret or maybe a reviver hive. That's your personal preference. So yeah, that's the full build everyone. It performs immensely good, I can assure you. Dr. Holmes is a weapon many people are sleeping on and not using it, but it's a very good weapon. Not only with the damage, but also with stability and the talent that it comes with. That's really good, especially in group play. It can heal your teammates immensely, I can assure you. And since we are taking out multiple enemies at once due to negotiators, the more enemies you mark, the more armor is gonna get back to your entire group. So but that's about it. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you like it or not, try it out. It's a very good setup. So with that being said, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.